In part 2 of this one-part series, we hopefully all came to the conclusion that no one should be taking religion seriously. At least not the religions based on the tribal war god of Abraham. Not when even their big brains admit to believing based on the tingles and a self-authenticating voice whispered not in their ears, but to their hearts. And by a ghost who is apparently every bit as immaculate as the teenage girl he allegedly bedded 2,000 years ago. This is just the beginning of the nonsense which I've been cataloging here for the last 16 years, in video after video. But wouldn't it be nice if we could cram a bunch of that nonsense into just one video, along with your wonderful comments below adding even more? I think so. Imagine a God who exists outside space and time, who can somehow create space and time when an already existing fabric of time is necessary for any act of creation to occur. Imagine an omni-benevolent God, a being who is pure, perfect goodness, who then creates evil. And not just evil, but a being who is the very personification of evil, who is allowed to deceive the sentient beings this God created with his supernatural powers, which that malevolent being then shares with an army of unseen demons, also hell-bent on our destruction. Can you feel the love? Imagine an all-knowing God, a being who knows exactly what every single person, animal, insect, cell, molecule, atom, quark, and boson will do for all time, who instead of simply creating the sentient beings he knows will end up in his heaven already in heaven, creates a world filled with... Shoot, how did Prager put it?
This life is filled with an immeasurable amount of injustice and suffering.
Imagine an all-powerful God who could have used that power, along with his all-knowingness and all-goodness, to create a world for us where no one suffers. A world filled with joy, happiness, contentment, and bliss. A world exactly like the world he will create for some of us, but only after we've first suffered and died in this mess. Imagine an all-loving, all-knowing God who cannot offer us the kind of understanding we can offer each other. A God who, with his omniscience, should be able to simply comprehend and forgive our failures, but instead requires a bloody, torturous human sacrifice which he ultimately causes to be performed on his own incarnate self. Imagine a God who, in order for his children to avoid eternal conscious torment, requires his sentient creations to believe a particular thing, and believe it correctly, who then fails to provide each of us with whatever he knows we need in order to believe that thing. Imagine a God who is incredibly active, making his presence known with all manner of epic signs and wonders for thousands of years, flooding the entire planet, wiping out cities, causing plagues, and performing all manner of miracles at the behest of his prophets, who is then suddenly and unceremoniously confined to making his presence known only on toast, tortillas, or the ass of a very special pug. Imagine a God who creates a universe where the single most important event in that universe, the act in which we must believe to be saved, will occur only after 13.8 billion years, after which God will leave us without a single eyewitness, giving us instead only a hand-me-down version of the event written decades later by anonymous third parties. Now, imagine being someone who thinks he or she knows anything more about this nonsense than someone else, someone who will ultimately admit to being completely ignorant of it all when pushed, intellectually surrendering to the mystery that is the Almighty, and yet still offering his or her understanding of that mystery, or lack thereof, for the low, low price of just 10% of your gross annual income, or whatever you can afford. Is this really worth your 10%? Or anything beyond our mockery, contempt, and ridicule? I don't think so. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.